أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وحبيب قلوبنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولعنة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam and humanity. Condolences to Imam of our time, Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farjahu Sharif, and his companions, and to you mu'mineen and mu'minat on the martyrdom of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and his companions. Praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us this opportunity to come and discuss the incident of Karbala, and for the sake of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, may we get the strength to follow his path, inshallah. We have been discussing, from last night we discussed what was the aim of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. What was the aim of him standing up against Yazid? We talked about, from the words of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, that what was his aim. The first thing that we discussed last night was Islahi mafasid. Correction of corruption was one thing. That, alhamdulillah, we got the honor and the privilege that we discussed it last night. And tonight is another very important part of Imam Hussein's message, that he told us, he gave us from his words, that my aim is to do what? To do Amr bil Ma'aruf wa Nahi anil Munkar. Now we have heard of this many times, even from a young age we have heard of Amr bil Ma'aruf wa Nahi anil Munkar, or in English we say enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. Tonight, inshallah, may Allah give me the strength to explain what it means, the importance of it, and what types of Amr bil Ma'aruf and Nahi anil Munkar is, and which type of Nahi anil Ma'aruf wa Amr bil Nahi anil Munkar wa Amr bil Ma'aruf was about Abdullah Hussein's standing up against Yazid was. Coming to the ta'arif, very simple, very basic. Amr bil Ma'aruf, enjoining the good, meaning basically telling someone, commanding someone, or ordering someone to do good. Amr bil Ma'aruf, enjoining the good, telling someone, the others, do good. And Nahi anil Munkar basically means forbidding others from doing evil things. This is very basic definition. And we have heard of when we were at young age, we heard about it, that we have Usul-e-Din, which is the foundation of religion, and then we have Furu-e-Din. Usul-e-Din, we have Tawheed, Adal, Nabuwat, Imamat, mi'ad, which we have to go and research. We cannot do taqlid of an marja in that regard. We have to do our own research, see what ulamas have said, come to conclusion from our own intellectual arguments, from experimental arguments. And then we have furu' ad-din. Once we accept usul ad-din, we accept Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His being just, His prophethood, the Holy Quran, the hereafter and so forth, then the time comes when we have to do taqlid, which is the furu' ad-din. So here basically in furu' ad-din we have heard namaz, roza, khums, zakat, hajj, jihad, amr bil ma'ruf wa nahi anil munkar, tawalla tabarra. Yes, we have this 10 furu' ad-din. And in these parts we have to see what our maraji has said. We have to go and see the expert of the religious person, who is the expert in religious matters. And the way namaz is wajib is obligatory, the way khums is wajib, the way fasting is wajib, amr bihil ma'ruf wa nahi anil munkar, enjoining good and forbidding evil is also wajib on us. Why? Because it is part of our furu' ad-din. Amr bil ma'ruf and nahi anil munkar. The way roza, the first one, the second one, the first one namaz, then roza, hajj, zakat, khums, all this, they are wajib. Likewise, amr bil ma'ruf, enjoining good and forbidding evil is also wajib. Now we have to know what does it mean, and what are some of the levels of enjoining good and forbidding evil? What are some of the methods of it? From the Holy Quran and from the teachings of Ahlul Bayt, we find great importance of Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar, enjoining good and forbidding evil. Let's go through some of the examples, one of the verses I will mention to show you the importance of enjoining good and forbidding evil. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Surah Ali Imran, verse 104. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولتكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينحون عن المنكر وأولئك هم المفلحون. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and there has to be a nation among you summoning to goodness, enjoining good and forbidding evil. It is they who are successful. So the Holy Quran here specifically says it, straightforward He says it. The Holy Quran that amongst you there has to be people that should invite others, enjoin others to do good things and forbid the evil. There has to be from amongst you. And these people who are acting upon this enjoining good and forbidding evil are the ones that are muflihun, that are successful in this world and hereafter. And there's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he says, my nation will always be with goodness as long as its people enjoin good and forbid evil and assist one another in piety. If they do not do that, then the blessing will be taken away from them. So here is the most important part, my brothers and sisters, that we have to tell others to do good and tell others to forbid evil, to not do evil. If we do not do that, then the blessings will be taken away from us. And Rasulullah says more that some of them will impose their rule over others, and there will be no helper for them on the earth or in the sky. So because of Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar, if we don't do it, and because of that, Rasulullah says the blessing will be taken away from us, and on top of that, an oppressor will rule upon us. And at that time, if we ask for Allah's help, there will be no help. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, لا تتركوا الأمر بالمعروف ونهي عن المنكر فيولى عليكم شراركم ثم تدعون فلا يستجاب لكم. Imam Ali alayhi salam says here that do not abandon enjoining good and forbidding evil. Otherwise, the evil people among you will take charge over you, and then when you supplicate, you will not be answered. So very straightforward riwayat, a tradition of Imam Ali alayhi salam. He says it very straightforward, that if you abandon enjoining good and forbidding evil, what happens? The oppressors will come and rule over you. They will take the charge and will rule on you. And after that, if you do dua, if you supplicate, nothing will happen. Allah will not answer you. Why? Because you haven't done your responsibility. As I've said before, the way namaz is wajib, the way roza is wajib, enjoining good and forbidding evil is wajib too, on all of us mu'mineen. Now, according to your status, according to your whatever you are, we are, the level of amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar differs. Now, when we look at the Islamic laws book, for example, we have Islamic laws books of Ayatollah Sistani, Ayatollah Makarim Shirazi, Ayatollah Khamenei, Ayatollah Ishaq Fayyaz, Ayatollah, for example, Wahid Khurasani. All these maraji, when you look at within the Islamic books, there's a part which talks about enjoining good and forbidding evil. Amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. There's a part regarding it. Why? Because it's in our fluid then. And if you look at that part, and it is important, my brothers, that we go and study our Marja's book and see what the rulings are. And when you look at that part of enjoining good and forbidding evil, you see the definition first, for example, what it is. And you see the conditions, that if these conditions are met, then you can do amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. Then you can enjoin good and forbid evil. For example, one of the first one is that one must have the knowledge of what is good and what is evil. Then he can go and tell others to not do evil stuff and do good stuff. You need to have the knowledge. This is one of the conditions. And there are other conditions. And one of the conditions is what? Is that the person enjoining good and forbidding evil must not be in a danger of significant harm being inflicted to his person, reputation, or wealth. Now, what we know is that from our own knowledge or around us, that Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar is something that you should do until the time that it doesn't harm you. When it starts harming your reputation, when it starts harming your wealth or your, for example, body, then there is no more obligation upon you. But rather, when you look deep into it, there are times that the matter is so important, despite that Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar giving you harm. It might be reputation, it might be money, it might be anything, it might be your life. It is wajib for us to go and do Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar. Usually we have heard, if it harms your personal, for example, health or reputation or wealth, your obligation is nothing there. But when we come and see about Abdullah al-Hussein here, we see something else, my brothers. Let me explain more here. And usually we do not go and read the Islamic books, Islamic laws book that our Maraji has, which are in different languages. And secondly, we do not read that every condition has a commentary on it. We do not read that part either, unfortunately. So when we look at the Karbala, we know that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein knew about it. That we're gonna lose some of our wealth. We're gonna lose our lives. They're gonna harm us basically. So what kind of Amr bil Ma'ruf is this, Ya Abu Abdullah? The Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahyan al Munkar, enjoining good and forbidding evil, the one that I have known, is something that if it harms you, then you stop. You have no obligation. What Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahyan al Munkar is this that you have done, Ya Abu Abdullah? What type of Amr bil Ma'ruf is this? So if an action, a good action becomes wajib, enjoining or commanding that action becomes wajib too on the other person. Now, as I've mentioned before, that there are different methods, there are different levels of approaching others to enjoin good and to forbid evil. So whenever you come across different people within your surrounding, there are different methods, different approaches that we have to take in order to enjoin good and forbid evil. Do this ihkam. Obey this command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because it is wajib. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Now that we know what enjoining good and forbidding evil is, and it is part of our religion, it is obligatory, it is wajib, and the importance of it, how our Ai*Imma in the Holy Quran says it. I'm making it very summarized, giving you the definition. That in summary we can say enjoining good and forbidding evil has two meanings. One which is specific, that we know about, for example, which is also mentioned in the Islamic laws book 2 that we have, which is very specific, which has been mentioned in the books of Maraji, that if these conditions are there, then you do Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahyan al Munkar. If not, then don't do it. Which is correct in that sense. There is another meaning which is a bit common, which is more wider than the first meaning. It is not as specific as the first meaning. The second meaning, we could say enjoining good and forbidding evil. Sometimes the second meaning, which is more common, which is more wider, this meaning also takes jihad with it. The meaning of jihad with it sometimes. The jihad comes and joins this meaning of enjoining good and forbidding evil. And tonight, inshallah, we will discuss the second meaning of it, which is more common, which is, for example, I'll give you an example, which takes into account the simple teachings, simple advices, and until sacrificing your life for the sake of Allah. So this is the meaning that we are going to discuss, inshallah, tonight. And let's go through some of the examples, some of the categories that I have made in order for us to understand our responsibility, that if you come across different types of people, what is our obligation in that regard? So if I come across someone who is very arrogant, who is abusing Islam and Islam's teaching, what is my obligation in that regard? Compared to someone who doesn't know anything about Islam, wants to learn, what is my obligation, what is my responsibility in this regard? Because this comes under Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahyan al Munkar. By the second meaning, making it more wider. And let's go through some of the examples for us to understand this topic better. Number one, educating the people who doesn't know. if we make the definition of enjoining good and forbidding evil, that even teaching someone who doesn't know anything about Islam, it comes under enjoining good and forbidding evil. So this is one of the example. Educating the people who doesn't know Islamic teachings. For example, I'll give an example. A youth who just reached his puberty and the Islamic commands are now wajib on him to perform. For example, he needs to start reciting namaz. He needs to start performing roza. He needs to take fast. So on and so forth. Now, this young person who just reached the level that now the obligations are on him, we need to teach him. It is our responsibility. This is one kind of enjoining good and forbidding evil. Or for example, a youth just doesn't know a sin. This is a sin. It is our responsibility to go and teach him that this is a sin. It becomes wajib on us. So we are starting from bottom and we will go up till the point of about Abdullah al-Hussein, where he sacrificed everything for the sake of Islam. We're starting from the bottom now. So the simplest example is someone, a young person who doesn't know anything about Islam, who just reached the age where he needs to know. It becomes wajib on us to teach him, my brothers and sisters. Now, especially the parents. It is wajib on parents to teach their kids the Islamic teachings. We cannot run away from it. We cannot make excuses that I had to pay mortgage, I had to pay bills. That is part of life. This is more important that you teach the Islamic teachings. It is wajib. And what else? The other people, such as Hossaini Society of Victoria, it is their responsibility to arrange good, proper events for the youth and for the other members of the community, because they have taken this responsibility upon their shoulders. It becomes wajib on them to do Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar. We cannot run away from it, my brothers. And another example is someone who didn't have the opportunity to go and learn the Islamic teachings, but now he wants to learn the Islamic teachings. So it becomes wajib on us that we make classes for them, we arrange classes for them, we arrange different seminars or majalis or whatever you call it. It is wajib, we have to teach them. And it is wajib on us firstly that we have to go and learn ourselves first. Unfortunately, some of our religious brothers, once they come and start working for the religious community, they think they are Ayatullah now. They don't need any classes. Unfortunately, or I can say this, that these people need more classes than the rest of the people. The reason is because these people are leading the community. You need to know more than the other people. Your ethics has to be higher than the normal people. Your intellectual level has to be higher than the other people, because you're the one leading the community right now. So whenever an alim comes, before arranging classes for the others, arrange classes for the Hossaini workers, the volunteers, the directors, the cabinet members, for them first. So it becomes wajib on us. Now whose responsibility is this? That teaching our youth, this is all part of enjoining good and forbidding evil. And it is wajib. Now, unfortunately, we have this new ideology that, I can't remember it exactly, but I remember this part that leave your kids and let them choose. We have this within the schools these days, unfortunately. But they neglect this point. The young kid who is 5, who is 6, who is 7, who is 8, who is 12, their brains are empty. They learn from others. They learn from media, they learn from here, they learn from there. And you're telling me, leave them, let them make the choice. They are not at that stage to make the right choice. As a parent, I have the responsibility to teach them the Islamic teachings. Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam says this. They teach your children before others teach them. So I cannot say that let them make the choice. They're not mature enough to make any choices at that time. The surroundings will create their ideology. We like it, we dislike it. We agree, we disagree. The surroundings will make their ideology. So before others make their ideology, parents, it is wajib upon you that you make it. Either taking it to classes, teaching it yourself, so on and so forth. Secondly, we have to behave in such a way, especially with the youth that are just starting knowing the religious stuff. Try to encourage them, try to be kind, try to be nice with them and teach them. Do not adapt or use the method which is extreme. Unfortunately, we see with some of our parents that they are being very strict and the youth is not listening to them. We need to know what types of methods we should use. And especially the community, Hossaini side of Victoria, the people who are leading the community right now, you guys have huge responsibility upon your shoulders. And I'll always pray that hopefully you guys, inshallah, succeed in your job that you're doing for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, this type of people that we come across that doesn't know the religious teachings or wants to know the religious teachings but they didn't have the opportunity. So it becomes wajib on us to go and teach them, to arrange classes and so on and so forth. And we have to be in our best manner in order to preach them, to teach them. Now this is one category. There's another category of people that you come across and you see that they had the opportunity to learn, but they didn't go after it. They had the opportunity to go and teach Islamic teachings, but they were lazy. They didn't care about it. This type of people, we have responsibility towards this type of people too, my brothers. We like it, we dislike it. Them being lazy, but still we have responsibility that we arrange different Islamic classes, seminars, you call it, activities that attract these kind of people and they come and learn and obey Allah's commands. Unless they fully reject it, we have responsibility towards these people. And we need to take into consideration that the age group, for example, the learning capacity, and there are so many other factors that we have to take into consideration in order to teach them the Islamic teachings, to enjoin the good and forbid the evil. We have to look through the methods and we have to help them out. And usually these type of people that were lazy, that had the opportunity but were lazy, or other different factors, they didn't obey Allah's commands, we have to select a method that it is attractive, that it is enjoyable in a sense for them to attend firstly, and then make sure they act upon it. Now this was the other category. The first one was someone who didn't know, who wants to know. The second one who had the opportunity but they didn't want it to know. The third category here is the people who acts upon the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they act upon it in a wrong manner. Why? Because they have learned it in a wrong manner from an alim, from someone within the mahalla, within the environment. For example, he prays, but the way he takes his wudu is wrong. And we have to teach these people too. We have responsibility towards these people too. I'll give you an example that you all have heard about it. The story of Imam Hassan alayhi salam and Imam Hossaini alayhi salam. They saw an old man, he was taking wudu, and they saw the old man was taking it in the wrong manner. And Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, instead of telling the old man, oh, you're taking your wudu wrong, this and that, which is the wrong method of preaching, instead of that, the two brothers, Hassanain, they go to the old person and says and ask the old person that, can you watch me and him take wudu and tell us which one is better? Which one of our wudu is better? So both of them takes the wudu, and after that the old man realizes that all these years I have done wrong wudu. And look at these kids, these children, they taught me. And then the old man told Hassanain that, thank you for telling me, and both of your wudu was great. So you see different types of people that we come across. Enjoining good and forbidding evil comes here too. It becomes wajib on us that we go and teach others. The more you know, the more responsibility comes upon you. If you're leading a religious community, the more responsibility comes upon you. That firstly, the first condition is you go and learn yourself first, and then implement on others, and then teach others. So this is one of the examples. So I just gave you 3 examples. Example of Jahil Qasir, Jahil Muqassir, Jahil Murakkab. I have not gone through what the meanings are because it will become complicated. So I gave you just the example. The first example of types of people, the second type of people, and the third type of people. When we are facing these types of mu'mineen, we have responsibility towards them, my brothers. And it comes under enjoining good and forbidding evil. There's another type, which is another type of enjoining good and forbidding evil. Another example of enjoining good and forbidding evil, which is reminding the mu'mineen about what is sin and what is good. Reminding them, advising them. This is another type of enjoining good and forbidding evil. For example, I'll give you an example. That you come across a person that commits a sin. You come across a person that commits a sin, and this person doesn't want anyone to know about his sin. And he has done his sin secretly, in secret, so no one could see it. And this type of a person doesn't want anyone to know about his sin. And if anyone knows about his sin, he feels embarrassed. He feels ashamed. So this type of people, and if you as a person, you come across this type of people, it is haram for you to go and spread his sins among other people. It is haram. And it is also haram that if you approach in the wrong manner and he realizes that you know his sin and he feels ashamed, even this is haram, my brothers. We have to choose a method that when we are facing these type of mu'mineen, we go and tell them in a way that they don't firstly realize that we know their sin, and secondly try to help them out. So this is another type of people that we come across that does their sin secretly. For example, it doesn't want anyone to know about it. We have obligation in this regard too, that help them out. And you can only share it with someone else. Only you can share it with someone else if you know that person will keep his sin secret and private, and help him out. Not go and tell others that, oh, did you see this brother? I saw him in his house. I saw him somehow, he was doing this sin secretly. No, my brothers, you need to keep it secret and try to help that brother out. This is one way of it. The other way of, another type of people that we come across is what the people who is careless, who does the sin and doesn't care if someone knows about it, and he doesn't get embarrassed if someone knows about it. Even these type of people, we have obligation that we try to advise them, try in the best manner, tell them this is bad, this is wrong, you shouldn't be doing it, not in front of everyone. In the best place, in the best time, then we should do our responsibility. Now there's another type of person. Now, one was that he did the sin, but he was embarrassed about it and didn't want anyone to know about it. The second type was he didn't really care if someone knows about it. The third one is someone that you come across, they do sin openly. They disobey Allah openly in front of others. And he prides himself on it. And he doesn't care about the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He doesn't care about anyone. He makes fun of it. Now, when we face these type of people, the first stages that we, with manner, with respect, with adab, we go to that person and try to advise him and remind him that on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask for our actions, so on and so forth. Secondly, if the first stage doesn't have any effect, the second stage is that we become a bit more strict now. Sukku biha jibahahum. Now we have to be a bit more strict. And within Islam, my brothers, within Islam, it's not like marachi turachi. We don't have this mentality in Islam. A good Muslim is someone who tells others that this is good. Alhamdulillah, you're doing it greatly. MashaAllah, encouraging. And if someone's doing the bad action, evil action, or making sins, committing sins, you tell that person in the best manner that you're doing it wrong. Either it might be within your family, either it is your friend, or someone else. So the first stage, if it doesn't work with the people who are making fun, so on and so forth, the second step is that we become a bit strict. We tell them, what's wrong with you? Why are you openly committing sin? On the day of judgment, Allah will ask you. Think about it, my brother. Be more strict. And sometimes even tell them off. And so on and so forth. But make sure, my brothers, make sure. The first step is always with manner, with love, with logic. And then it gets higher, the stage of it. Now there's another thing that I would like to mention here too. That another responsibility of mu'mineen is in this regard. In what regard? In regards to the people who are, for example, a group or an organization or anything who are planning against the teachings of Islam. Now, mu'mineen has responsibility in this regards too. It comes under enjoining good and forbidding evil. Amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. And usually these type of people that are against Islam, that are planning against Islam, these type of people are not usually friends of Muslim or Islam. And we have responsibility in this regards too. And usually handling this type of problems is more complex, more hard. and it needs more time, more energy, more discussion, more planning, short-term goals, long-term goals. So in this regard, when you know there's a group, there's anyone that are planning strategically, trying to go against the teachings of Islam, here the mu'mineen's responsibility is to come together and unite, and then work, have more discussions, plan, make strategies, and act upon it. Leaving all the differences to the side for the sake of Allah, and then working for the betterment of the society. So this is another thing. Sometimes we have to tackle fisad by being together. We have no other option. Sometimes we have to get together in order to eradicate the bigger fisad. So this is another example of enjoining good and forbidding evil. Now, mu'minin has to pay attention, great attention to the faith of their youth, their children, to themselves. We can't just say because now we have come to an environment that there's a lot of sins, we just let the iman and let our responsibility go away from us. No, we will have no excuses. It is wajib upon us, my brothers and sisters. Now, the first category I explained of enjoining good and forbidding evil. The second category I've explained the part which is enjoining good and what is forbidding evil. Now the third level, the last level we can say is that we sacrifice our lives for the sake of Islamic values. And we see this within the tragedy of Karbala. We see this from Abdullah al-Hussein. That I've explained to you that from the bottom how we reach the top part, from the bottom how we behave, and we reach a point that there is no option but sacrificing your life for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the sake of Islam. This is the peak of enjoining good and forbidding evil. This is the stage that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein performed upon. And at that time, the time of Yazid, it wasn't just about one command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It wasn't just about two commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But rather, when you look into the words of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein says that I am scared of what? He says, I'm scared that people are losing what haqq is. People cannot differentiate between haqq and batil. I'm scared that people will forget haqq. It was at that peak that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein had to do something about it. The last stage of enjoining good and forbidding evil. Now at this stage, you see, when you go and analyze the corruption of Bani Umayyah, how they propagated, how they used evil politics against the Islamic teachings, against the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and everything was on the side of Bani Umayyah, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein had to do something about it, had to do the enjoining good and forbidding evil. That is why Abu Abdullah al-Hussein says that my aim of uprising is enjoining the good and forbidding evil. And this becomes the last stage. And we, as a Muslim, we have to be ready in every stage of enjoining good and forbidding evil. From the bottom stage, we have responsibility till the peak of it. When the time comes, I need to give my energy, I need to give my money, I need to give my time, I need to give my wealth. And there will be a time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask for what? For your life. So this is how it is, my brothers and sisters. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein had no choice but to go to Karbala and wake the ummah, shock the ummah with the tragedy of Karbala, teach them, wake them up. And until now, Hussein's enjoining good and forbidding evil, people are taking lessons from it. It was a great shock for the whole world, for the whole humanity. And this is why we have prophets and imams to guide us. And if we are on the side of imam, then what happens? What happens is, if we are on the side of imam, imam assembles his government and then rules upon people and implements the teachings of Islam. So this is how it works, my brothers and sisters. And tonight is Shab-e Ashura, the night of Ashura, my brothers and sisters. It's a very painful night for the believers. And if you have any problem, either it is worldly problem, spiritual problem, any problem, tonight is the night that we ask about the Hossain. That, oh Hussein, make us like yourself. Give us the strength to follow your footsteps. This is what we want. And the narrators say that on the night of Ashura, Shab-e Ashura, Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha, when she realizes that tomorrow my brother will be martyred, he comes to Hussein and says, oh Hussein, are these companions are going to be loyal to you tomorrow? Abu Abdullah al-Hussein cried and he said, oh sister, I have tested my companions in many occasions. I have told them that you can go now. I have nothing against you. You have done your part. And I will take care of it in hereafter. You can take your family's hand, you can go. But rather the companions said, oh Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, we will not leave you. Even we are martyred, if we are killed many times, when we come back to life, we will come and support you. They had no hubbud dunya, my brothers and sisters. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the sake of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein that we work upon ourselves and purify our souls and get rid of this hubbud dunya. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. O Damonas of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Tomorrow there will be no Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Tomorrow we will have no Qasim, no Ali Akbar, no Hussein. Just imagine, brothers, the heart of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein on the day of Ashura. In few hours, his companions are martyred brutally. His family members are martyred brutally. He goes to the battlefield, he brings the bodies. He goes and brings the body of his son Ali Akbar. He goes to the battlefield, brings the body of Qasim. He goes to the battlefield and brings the body of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Imagine the heart of Hussein. Imagine the heart and the patience of Hussein. Now the enemies didn't just kill the companions and the family members of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein normally, but rather when we look in the history, we see that they cut the hands of the family members of Hussein. They have cut the hands of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. They have cut into pieces the body of Ali Akbar. They have cut the hands of the other companions. They have shot arrows to the bodies of the companions. My brothers, just imagine the heart of Hussein. Now everyone has been martyred. You see Hussein by himself, and the ladies and the ill Imam Zainul Abidin who can't even get up. You see, you feel the heart and the pain of Hussein. He looks to the right, there is no companion. He looks to the left, there is no Abu al-Fazl al-Abbas. He looks behind him, there is no John. There is no Habib ibn Madahir. There is no one. Imam Hussein is going to the battlefield and bringing all the bodies. Imagine the heart, the capacity of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Now it is the turn of Hussein to go to the battlefield. Imagine the hearts of the ladies, Lady Zainab and the other ladies. Imagine the heart of the children, that if Hussein goes, we have no one to protect us from these enemies. And even Abu Abdullah al-Hussein knows about it, that if I go to the battlefield, I don't know what will happen after me, because there is no Abu al-Fazl al-Abbas. Now imagine, my brothers, saying goodbye to his sister Lady Zainab, how hard it is for them. You know why, my brothers and sisters? Because when Lady Fatima Salamullah alayha was martyred, there were children. Between Zainab and Hussein there was a lot of love. And when Imam Ali passed away, they were together. When Imam Hassan passed away, they were together. Now imagine the heart of Lady Zainab when there is no Hussein, when there is no one. Imagine how hard it is saying goodbye. And imagine the heart of Sakina when she comes and says goodbye to Hussein, to his beloved father. Oh, the fathers, you know how much the daughters love their father. You know how much they love them. And now imagine when Sakina is saying goodbye to his father Hussein. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein goes towards the Maqtalgah, goes towards the battlefield, and within the battlefield he fights courageously. Despite going through so much hardship, he fights courageously. He goes to the field and he says, Ana Hussein ibn Ali. I am Hussein, son of Ali, son of Ali. Even at that time, he's doing enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. He is inviting the others, come and join, help the grandson of Rasulullah. Even at the last moments, he fights courageously. The narration says the enemies couldn't do anything about it. The enemies from all sides in thousands, they shot arrows towards the body of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. One arrow stuck with it, pierced the eyes of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Another arrow pierced the neck of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Another arrow pierced the chest of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Some narrators say the rain of arrows came towards Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, and Abu Abdullah al-Hussein fell on the ground, and the Mal'un, the enemies, wanted to go towards the tents. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein told them, I'm still alive. If you're a free man, even if you're not religious, if you do not care about hereafter, be a free man and do not do anything to the ladies, to my household. And they listened, they came back to us about Abdullah al-Hussein. My brothers, imagine the warriors, the soldiers of enemies in hundreds and thousands. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein just by himself. He's been pierced by arrows. Now the enemies come. They are stoning Hussein. They are using their swords. They are striking Hussein. And one of them, Al-Hud, sits on the chest of Hussein and beheads Hussein. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. Please recite صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد.